Amy and Matt, here's my interview. Hopefully, it'll be short and sweet for you. What interests me about becoming a faculty liaison comes from the position summary, two particular bullets. Uh, I'm interested in contributing to the improvement in teaching and learning. That's kind of why I do what I do, and that leads to better student engagement and better student achievement. So if I can help do that, that's what interests me. School-specific support is important because partly just because it kind of amplifies the faculty voices from each school. So if there are two liaisons for each school, that just amplifies faculty voices. And in turn, the CTLA's initiatives can be amplified then as well to the school. It will be challenging in the Stender school because we're a pretty diverse group. So that'll be challenging to provide support for everybody, but be interesting as well. If somebody's frustrated with using Brightspace or a tool, I think it's important to ask questions and listen to them, figure out what their goal is, what they're trying to achieve, either in their teaching or their students' learning. Do they need to use a tool or Brightspace? Sometimes the learning curve maybe is not worth it or is not perceived to be worth it. If I think the learning curve is worth it, then maybe I could give them some examples of how the tool, excuse me, or Brightspace was used successfully. We could also connect with other faculty about that. Revisions of courses are done all the time. I've got many of them, but here's one I just used recently. I've gone to specifications grading for my physical science course that I teach for the graduate teaching licensure students. Excuse me, smoky today. And one thing so the specifications grading itself is a revision, which I really like. So students have to complete all of the specifications in order to achieve a grade. And if they don't, then they have to redo. But one thing I added to the specifications was a personal example from their own life that connects to the content of each question. And at least one of those personal examples has to be a picture they've taken. So this last week we were dealing with Newton's laws of motion, and a student to show Newton's first law of motion, she took a series of pictures. It was actually a video, and she clipped some pictures of her grandchild in the grocery store. And here's the little guy pushing a fully loaded cart in the grocery store, and he's trying to change direction. And you can see that he's having a tough time changing the direction of that cart because it's an object in motion and it tends to stay in motion in that same direction. And he had to apply quite a force to change its direction. And that relates to both Newton's first and second laws. So these pictures of personal examples have made the content more relevant to the students and really delightful for me to see as well. Communication and collaboration in both directions. There's lots of ways, and I'll have to work with you folks about how to collaborate because you're getting some insights into how to do that effectively. I think school meetings would be a good vehicle to do this. Dedicate a little time during school meetings to share, ask questions, listen. Google Forms or surveys might be a good way to do it. Individual check-ins when feasible. Again, we've got a big school. Some people teach remotely, some teach face-to-face. So individual check-ins might be difficult, but doable maybe. Emails don't seem to be real productive, but some people use emails, so I might try that. And in terms of collaborating with you folks, I think Zoom and in-person meetings might be the best way to do that. Initiative. I think it'll be important to make time for the role. Some of these roles can kind of live in the background, and so it'll be important to dedicate some time for the role each week, regardless of what I'm doing that week. Really just carve out some time that is dedicated to the role. I will have to connect with faculty and you folks and the other liaisons. I think it will be important to collaborate with everybody, which will take some initiative to do. Planning, once we kind of have a direction for this role and this initiative, it will take some planning, and dedicating time for planning will be important. And I'll have to learn a lot too about tech, about working with various faculty, etc. Strengths, I looked at the requirements, key responsibilities or required requirements from the position summary, excuse me. I have done all forms of teaching, face-to-face, hybrid, high flex, totally online, online with Zoom meetings. So I've done all of that. I do have an interest in using tech and have used a bit of tech. I'm also curious about learning more about tech, and I'm fairly adventurous. I can jump in and I'm not afraid to use tech or to contact people. As I get older, I have gained confidence. Talking with people, suggesting things are not a problem. Support, I'd like a few more um, expectations or deliverables, sort of concrete things. The position summary is pretty wide and not vague, but somewhat open-ended. So I would appreciate a few more specific expectations or deliverables, which leads to kind of a focus for the work. And I know this first year might be sort of defining that focus, so I'd be happy to help with that. But if there is more of a focus, perhaps this year we're going to focus on this, and next year we might focus on something else, that'd be good. Timelines would be good. What are the expectations for what we need to accomplish in a certain timeline? And then support for new tech. And you folks have been great at that. Amy and Jane, you've been really good about that. So I anticipate that will continue. Not from Jane, but from Amy. All right, I think that's it. Thanks for listening, and thank you for the opportunity.